Welcome back, everybody. Quick fuse here with the Mythic family for another episode of Mythic Talks. This is our Dreamhack predictions podcast, but we're going to go over a few other things that is going on in the community, like the Passion United draft tournament that we had a few members of Mythic Gaming playing in, C4 and his fantasy team that he has chosen, and a few other things as we ramp up for Dreamhack this weekend. We are all very, very excited. It's gonna be the first time Mythic Gaming has a team in the open bracket, so we are going to be cheering the boys on Friday, and we're looking forward to it. C4, why don't you start off there by talking a little bit about kind of your HCS draft, fantasy draft there, and then we will kind of jump into the Dreamhack stuff, and then maybe we'll end with the Passion United tournament.
All right, yeah. So if you didn't know already, there is a fantasy league called HCS Fantasy. You can look them up on Twitter. They have a Discord and stuff. And so he's running. It's really pretty cool. He's got a whole like spreadsheet. He's got all these different stats on there. I don't want to dive into it because there's a lot of stuff, but it's really cool how he's got it all set up. And there's like 8 different leagues. I think it's like $6 to enter per person, and then the winner gets like $40. And it's really neat. But yeah, I went yesterday and we did the draft in my league. I think there's 8 people, so I got 8 picks. My first pick was last shot. um, I don't know. I kind of wanted to go with some people that were different than some of the top players because there's a lot of different good players out there. So I got last shot. I picked up Woodham. I thought he would be a solid pick. Um, and then of course, by the time I got those 2 picks, like all the good players were gone. like so, then I went with Druk, SLG, Talik, Yaxon, Drift, and Morgan. So I honestly, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the last 3 picks, but I think I'll do pretty decent. I probably won't win with this roster, but hey man, it's just trial and error and fun. And I picked some of the favorite players that I like, so rather than the top 3 teams, so it was really cool. And I think right now, as far as the predicted scores go, I am the lowest predicted score, unfortunately, by like a couple hundred points. But it's gonna be cool to see how I fare after DreamHack, and they're gonna be doing more of these. They did one for Arlington. They're gonna probably do another one for DreamHack Phase and World. So go check them out on Twitter. Just giving them a shout out, and I'll have this info eventually when they do more signups on noobcombo.com as well. So just check that out in the future. But other than that, yeah, Kelly. Well, how did the Passion United 5.0 draft tournament go yesterday? I
Uh,
know you and Beast and Palk played.
yeah, it was a lot of fun actually. So we were on team Sofa King Pure. But if you say it fast, obviously it's so fucking pure,
Yeah.
which it was awesome. We had great vibes all day. I ended up having to play both Pot Guy and Beast teams in the losers bracket, and I knocked them both out of the tournament. So that's a win in my books. Nobody can take me down. Even though I didn't win the tournament, I'll take that W all day long, obviously. But yeah, games were fun. Games were super vibey. We get eliminated at fourth place. Um,
Pretty good. Pretty good.
but yeah, it was definitely okay. Definitely have to do another one in the future, obviously. But other than that, yeah, we just kind of vibed together. I was on Marathon, I had Marathon, Slunty, and LHC Black. Everybody, we called ourselves the Boomer Squad because everybody was mid 30s.
Wow.
We were all over 30.
Boomers
32 was the,
showing up.
yeah, 30, 32 was the youngest, and then obviously myself and another player were 33, and then somebody was 34. Um, so it was kind of something super interesting, obviously, that we kind of learned about each other, and it was a really good time playing with them boys. And again, the vibes were on point the entire time. We eliminated Beast's team. I think it was 2-0, right, Beast?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2-0.
Yeah.
And then Pawkeyes as well. I think we beat them 2-0 as well. So it
Beast,
was,
how,
Yeah.
how was your experience?
We started off really dominant. I actually went farther in the winners bracket than but I think both Kelly and Hawkeye were. We were like off to a hot start, getting spectaculars, winning dominantly on stream, and we ran into kind of a brick wall. I'm not going to get into that. I have my own opinions on some of the things that
Yeah.
happened, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to talk about that. And I think it killed my team's vibes. Our mentals all got checked. I was with Ricky as Ghost, SS Gunna, and Jay Rizzle. We were Sloss Squad. It was overall fun day. Like we went pretty far. We got top 6. But yeah, I think after what happened to us two in winners, we had no mental for dropping down to fight Kelly. Um, I felt like
Yeah,
I was playing pretty well all day, but I think some of my teammates' vibes definitely got checked and got hung up. And we also had like a freaking long wait before that series too, which didn't help. I felt like we were just all dwelling on it. So, oh well,
yeah.
some teams just don't click and the mentals aren't there. But it was a fun
Hmm.
day.
It's part
Yeah.
of it. That's part of the experience. It happens.
Yeah,
Sometimes you have fun. Sometimes it doesn't work out.
yeah. We were also just lacking some IGLing. I think.
Yeah.
I think someone has to step into that role, but none of us really made that commitment.
Yeah, that's
Unfortunately, go ahead.
yeah, that's kind of the biggest thing too, right? Like we also didn't really have like a true IGL of like calling pushes and that kind of stuff. Um and that's kind of I think that's exactly what killed us in the kind of loser semis is the very first map of that round. Um we my controller stopped working at the beginning of the I think it was that one was the bomb Aquarius. Um so my controller didn't wasn't working, so I had to switch controllers at the start of the game. So obviously that kind of threw me off for a little bit. Felt a little panicked at the start of that match, and we ended up losing. They scored within the first, I don't know, 30 seconds because obviously it was a 4v3 right from the rip, so we had no map control, nothing, and then they just got took over. Um, but yeah, having a good IGL for those is definitely a key thing, especially when you are going to have players who are of the lower skill level, right? That's the whole point of these draft tournaments, right? You have somebody who is the lower skill level and that kind of stuff. Their awareness isn't there, their shot isn't quite there. But if you IGL them and that kind of stuff, they can fill a role very, very well, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, super fun day. Shout out to Passion United and Pure Delight for putting that on. We always like to get as many people as we can to support the community from Mythic Gaming, obviously, and hopefully we see more of us in the next one.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, Puck's not here to talk about his experience, but yeah, he played in it as well, and I hope to think he did good. So just shout out to Puck.
yeah. I just wanted to add a few shout outs for that tournament. Shout out to Slick as Pie for doing all the observing and of course Sin casting, Kyokick, and Bump. We're also casting a little in there. It was cool to hear some new voices, new perspectives, and of course PD himself.
Always bringing the vibes. Love PD.
Yeah,
Love that man. Yeah, I played in the Luminon Last Stand and Free for All yesterday. Started out decent, got like fourth. Command Station was absolutely ripping the lobby apart. I went back and watched the VOD on that one. It was the first match, and she was just. I mean, it seemed like she had luck on her side, but man, she was just frying, dude. Like just everywhere. And then the next couple rounds, unfortunately, were I think there was like 6 players in the next round. I hate playing on anything less than 8 to be honest. And then I played like with 5 people, and then the last one was like 4 people, and then it ended early. And I was just like, all right, it ended at like 8 minutes for some reason. I think he accidentally ended it, and then I was just like, whatever. I wasn't gonna win anyways, so I ended up just getting off. I think everybody wanted to be done at that point because it took so long to calculate the scores the way he was doing it based off your placings. You got points, and so it took a good. I felt like 20 minutes, maybe even sometimes 30 minutes in between each round to get the next one started and get the pools. But it was fun because you get to play 4 matches, and then if you make it into grand finals, it's 5 matches, and then I don't know if it's top two get prizes or what, but pretty fun experience. Shout out to that tournament, and hopefully there's more to come of that. But Kelly, we got a tournament coming up, right? We got something on the horizon, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are hosting our own Mythic Gaming draft tournament again. We had great success for the last one. June 14th, obviously, is going to be the day. Draft will be June 13th. We're looking forward to an incredible time. Hopefully, to fill it out and have 64 players. So we can have a really full day of Halo and not have to have a funky bracket or anything like that. And we're always looking forward to having a place for competitive players to come in and compete and have a really nice time and fun day of Halo, obviously.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention the graphics that you see on Twitter and anything going forward. For the most part, we're gonna have on board as a sponsor FM Media Design. It's a guy named Felix out of Australia, and he's an awesome dude. Just wanted to shout him out because he is on fire with these graphics. So if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you go check him out. We'll put a link to his Twitter. He's available for 3D renderings, overlays, and graphics and such. And so he's very good, very talented, and there's a pretty quick turnaround for the most part. And then I want to shout out for the draft tournament coming up, Kaiju Productions, which is ran by Frazilla, none other, and that's going to be exciting because he's a huge asset to the team. He helped us last time, came in, volunteered, and this time we're going to bring him on again. So can't wait.
The flyers look dope. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
yeah.
Hmm.
That, I mean, this crazy part is he did all those Spartans in Blender, and we just asked him for a graphic, something basic with text, basically. He came out just on point, like
He made those in
perfect.
Blender.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everything looks great that I've seen.
yeah. He told me he made those in Blender in my private message. And so I was like, dang, okay, he's really coming out frying on the graphic, and I love the clouds and stuff. And then of course we got some more graphics coming out here in the next week or two. So check out those and everything.
Yeah.
And then
There is also one other thing too that we're excited to announce. By the time this podcast goes live, obviously, it will already be out. We are excited to announce the Mythic Gaming League. So we have our own league that's coming. We're starting off a little bit kind of small. We're only doing one division to start with. I can't remember the full details, but all those details will be kind of in the Google Drive where everything gets signed up. It's going to be every Monday night is kind of game day. That's when we're going to be streaming it. It's going to be casted. It's going to be a great time. Um, there, it is a paid entry league. It is $40 per team to enter, so $10 USD per player. But you can win some of that back, right? So the prize pool breakdown is first place is going to get 50%. Second place, I believe, gets 25%. 25% is coming back to Mythic Gaming to handle all the operations and everything like that. So that's the 100% of the price, the entry fees and everything there. There will be Mythic Gaming giveaways and stuff throughout the season as well, eventually, that kind of thing. And then third place is actually going to gain free entry into the next season. We're doing 12-week seasons, 12 teams per kind of division to kind of start with. And we're going to see how it goes, right? It's just another place for people to play some competitive Halo and have a safe space to kind of vibe out and game and enjoy some time together on the game.
yeah, and shout out to Paul Guy because he's the one that came up with this idea, I believe. And I know he did pretty much all the work to put the documents together, and for the most part, right, Kelly? He did a lot of that.
Yeah, he did everything.
I mean, this dude was for Ryan. I mean, just taking the time to really get everything right and trying to be a really great first experience for everybody and a good first impression on what we can put together here. So yeah, shout out to Paul Guy. Go give him a follow on Twitter.
Absolutely. Well, that's kind of all the outside business of Dreamhack. Is everybody excited for Dreamhack this week?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Should be great
Oh yeah,
competition.
already feels like it's been too long since we've had LAN. Halo
Right?
I agree, man. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, a few months is too long.
A week later is too long.
Yeah, that's the way we feel sometimes for sure, right? But that's a good thing that there's lots of these smaller community run tournaments and stuff out there to be able to have everybody kind of tune in and play in these games and that kind of stuff and kind of fill that void. But yeah, we're super excited. We're going to go through kind of our top 8 predictions, and there's a couple of other talking points throughout the kind of podcast that we're going to go about, like what our thoughts are on SSG, what's going to happen if they don't place well here. Players to watch out for, obviously, at Dreamhack and everything like that. So Fulcrum, you've been pretty quiet over there. So why don't you start out and give us your top 8 picks first?
Falk, you there? Oh, there he is.
Mm,
Oh, he's thinking.
just thinking. I don't know if I should start from 1 or 8. Guess I'll go.
Start with 8.
Start with 8. Build
Start
it
with
up.
8.
Let's build it up. Yeah.
Let me think. So I think at 8, I'll put. I think I got Nemesis at 8. Then probably complexity, I'll say it's 7. Fifth, 6, I feel like will probably be. I'm blanking on what did luminosity become? Envy. I think envy
Yeah.
will probably get 5th, 6th this event. Either 5th or 6th. It's kind of a shakeup between which one. Kind of the same with 7th, 8th. That's usually how it goes. It's like a shakeup between the two. But in 5th, it's so hard to choose to make these decisions.
No, I understand. There's a lot of great teams, man. You just don't know how it's going to turn out sometimes.
Yeah. And you don't want to like slight anybody because it's
Yeah.
like, at least in my case, I always have a couple teams that I would like to see win. And my top 4 is going to be pretty run of the mill. So
Yeah.
for 5th, it's really 5th is kind of the harder decision for me, trying to figure out which team I want to put in that 5th to 6th range. Just to move on to 4th, I'll say phase in 4th.
Okay.
And then I'll do the regular SSG 3rd, and then I have optics 2nd this event. I think Shopify is going to take this one. And that'll kind of be it. But the middle of the pack is always the hardest for me to choose.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to go with Lethal's team.
Okay.
I don't know.
They're on
That's another
Omit, I
one that
think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's another one that I kind of blank on the team, but
D9.
Yeah, C9.
C9.
Yeah. Dude,
yeah,
yeah.
see,
That's a good one, yeah.
and that's one of those things where like I feel like 5th through 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, that's such a shakeup with all those teams that it could go either way with all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard to decide on those ones sometimes, but yeah, I think that'll be it for me.
Those are some
Okay.
wild
Probably won't
takes.
be
Yeah.
won't be right, but we'll see how it goes.
Those last last 7 picks. No, sorry, last 6 picks are kind of wild. I love them though. Good
No,
stuff.
110%.
Definitely different.
Yeah, again, it's you never know who's going to show up, right? How much practice has gone on in the background? How much of everything has developed over the course of time, right? Like adding Lethal to that C9 roster, is that could elevate them to get into that top 4th place? We don't know, right?
That C9 roster is going to look really, really good this event. I have a feeling.
Yeah.
I didn't
And
place him, but I got faith in him. Go ahead.
yeah, and I just feel good about Nemesis. I feel like they've always got a chance to break into top 8.
Oh yeah, dude. I fully expect them to be in the top 8 for sure. Yeah, they were playing. If they can play like they did at Arlington, oh, you better watch
I
out.
feel like complexity is probably my biggest. Complexity and envy are probably my biggest 2 dark horse picks, I guess, if you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always kind of pulling for those teams. So
No,
Yeah,
for sure.
complexity has been kind of a. It seems like they've been struggling a little bit, even after the roster mania that went on with them. Picking up Avicii and who else was it? Um,
Cherished.
shit.
Cherished.
Yeah, but that's. I mean, both great players. So we'll see how they play on land. Hopefully, they can turn out. They've been okay in scrims. I wouldn't say they've been on fire or nothing. They definitely got some room for improvement, but
Yeah, absolutely. How about
it's
yourself,
exciting
Ben?
to see envy back.
Oof. All right, so I'll start picking. Mine's a little bit more less informed. So I'm gonna my 7th, 8th are probably gonna be looking at Gen G and honestly Cloud9, just because I don't know, I haven't gotten to see them play.
okay.
But Gen G is a solid roster, so I think like they'll definitely get in there. I can't remember where they placed before. But I think they're going to be solid. Then the 5th and 6th is going to be Nemesis and TSM, and I'm only putting TSM in there because that's the original KCP roster back together.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I have pretty high hopes to see them place well, but only the event's gonna tell. So for that top four, for the most part, same as Fulcrum, but I'm gonna put Space Station at fourth with Phase being third.
Okay.
And then same thing, Optic second, Shopify first. I think
Oh.
Shopify is gonna try to come back as a typically an Optic fan. I'm gonna put someone else above them.
Yeah. I think lots of people are going to be doing that with their picks this time around, right? Because Shopify choked it in the Arlington run, right? Obviously Optic made that phenomenal losers bracket one, winners round one, down to losers round one, and made it all the way through and reset the bracket and won the tourney, right?
Playing super hot.
It's only the second time that's happened.
It is, yeah.
We did it last year.
Yep. And the big thing there is that is exactly, from what I understand, of kind of momentum and confidence. You did not want that team to get confident at all.
Yeah.
That team is scary confident.
Players on that team, is definitely scary confident.
Yeah, for sure.
The funny thing I want to point out is that the first 2 years Optic hosted a major, Optic didn't win their own event. SSG won both of their events, including their online, and then or not. That's 3 events if you count those. And then, but the funny part is that Optic won their own event this year, but it's really looking likely that SSG is going to lose their their event this year instead of winning it. It's not looking good. I wanted to point out that difference of it's kind of funny.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Beast? Do you got a different bracket, different top 8, or is it very similar?
My top 8's definitely a little different because I believe in an open bracket team is better than a lot of these other teams, and I have Ether sneaking in there into the 8th spot once again. Coming up, I think they're gonna get that pool D. They're gonna shit on complexity. They're gonna shit on incognito and make their way into the bracket.
They've been looking good.
Shit on Envy, you mean? Not incognito anymore. It's Envy.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's
Envy picked up Descendant Piggy.
Yep.
I thought they got collect team.
No.
Sorry. My bad. But yeah, then I got C9 in that same slot. Then I'm gonna go Nemesis, TSM, 5th, 6th. I think big thing for TSM, they've been a team for years. I think bringing back Manny is gonna get them into this slot, but that's basically their ceiling.
Who was your other 8th pick? It was Envy and who?
Ether.
Okay, Ether. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. Then I have SSG in 4th. They still got to prove it to me. Then I have FaZe in 3rd. They've been solid. I have Shopify in 2nd still. And I think the last majors gave Optic even more confidence, and they're not gonna lose now. So they're gonna keep it strong.
Maybe we'll see a year 4 dynasty here. We never know. We'll see.
I think it's very doable, and I think it's nobody thought that SSG roster last year was going to be able to do that, what they did. And 50% of it is now on Optic, and I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. C4?
Yeah. Who knows? And the thing is, last year was so close too, with Optic and SSG always neck and neck. It could be this same way kind of this year, but flip-flopped, with Optic and Shopify, or it could be back and forth. That's like part of what's so exciting about this year, I feel like.
It was dangerous to let Optic win the first event. Those players thrive in confidence, Renegade, Normal, Bound.
Yeah.
Let's just not have a second attempt 6 silver scrapes.
Right?
Makes it hard to predict though, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough year nonetheless. But yeah, I put these picks together here just recently. So mine are very kind of similar to yours, Beast and Frags. I got in 8th, 7th, 8th. I got Envy and Jinji. I just don't know. I know that the last tournament, that Envy roster didn't really. That was currently Luminosity at the time. Didn't really.
They didn't make it out of pools.
Yeah, and then so they played really. They were like the 6th or
5th seed, same seed.
Yep.
Yeah, and they still got the same seed, so hopefully we can see them bounce back. But I put them in the eighth spot for that. Gen G, I just don't think right now. I mean, they're a great squad. But I think these next two teams are going to probably have the upper hand on them. It's in fifth, sixth. I got TSM and Nemesis. I really would like to see Nemesis break out of this sixth spot. I think really after what we saw in Arlington against Optic, if they can continue that, Optic for one, if they have to face them again, are going to really have a cookie on their hands here to handle. It's going to be very tough for them, but yeah, I think right now I'm just going to keep them there just based off their current placing at Arlington. They still got some to prove, like when it comes to those clutch game fives. So, but yeah, in fourth, uh, the team that's not looking that hot, SSG. I just don't know, man. Like their scrims have been looking rough. I mean, they tied 9-9 with Ether in one of their latest scrims. That's a team like they would normally just wipe the floor with, with these caliber players. But it didn't go their way. And then third, I got FaZe. They still got a lot to prove before they can make it out of that third place spot. And then yeah, I think Shopify's going to bounce back. So I got them first and Optic second. Shopify still very much a contender, obviously. Looking to see them bounce back in this one. I think they're going to be on fire just based off of how close they were to winning that last one, just coming out just a little bit short. But yeah, that's mine. What about you, Kelly?
Yeah, mine are. I got full of hot takes here. My very first hot take, obviously, is eighth place is none other than Mythic Gaming. I think Mail's going to come out different. I'm calling it now. They're at least making it to pool play. I have the utmost confidence in them having the conversation with Mail. They're super, super excited for this. Yes, it is my HCS Mythic Gaming hot take of the day. Is going to be Mythic Gaming in eighth place, obviously, but I know that it's a pretty big stretch, but who knows what happens?
They got a good chance of making pools if the bracket works out and they can
100%.
stick together.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of my hot take. Seventh is going to be probably Cloud9, I would say. The Envy roster's not even making it into the champ bracket. They're going to be in pools, and they're going to get 8th through 12th for sure. Yeah, 100%. And then 5th, 6th, this is kind of again, it's going to be TSM and Nemesis. And the only reason why I was thinking about putting Space Station. Yeah, I was thinking about putting Space Station down there because their scrims have been looking so kind of off, and it being the second event and they're not playing as well as they should be. Are their vibes checked? I don't know. I can't tell. I haven't really been watching too much of their gameplay recently. But with the roster that SSG has, Space Station has, they have so much LAN confidence once they get there. So they're almost a lock for that 4th spot. All right. So yeah, TSM, Nemesis, 5th, 6th. 4th is going to be SSG. It's kind of a toss up. I could flip a coin between them and FaZe Clan on who's going to be 3rd, 4th. But it's going to be 4th Space Station, 3rd FaZe. 2nd is going to be Rebellion. And then 1st is Optic. I think that Optic squad is just too dominant on LAN, and with the confidence of winning their own major the way they did, right? Like if they would have just went through winners and they just won it, I don't think it would have been as big of a deal. But doing it from losers round 1 and playing all of those matches and pretty much dominating that entire lower bracket the entire time, that to me kind of really sparked their confidence, and I don't think they're going to be beaten at a Texas event. I'm going to say that, right? Dreamhack is a big Dreamhack event, but it's still kind of home turf for Optic.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Right? It is still their home turf.
They don't have to travel very far, so they're comfortable.
Exactly.
Complexity about home turf.
You know, I didn't even mention complexity. That's how out of the picture they are, in my opinion. Right? They just
top 8, in my opinion.
No, they were going to be in that kind of 9 through 12 range as well.
I do have to say, I wouldn't be surprised if ZT performs a little better this event. I know they played Nemesis a lot closer in their I don't follow that scene as closely, but they've looked a lot better. But it's not changing up my top 8. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're.
There's definitely some dark horses. There is a couple of dark horse rosters, right? To me, that there's 3 major dark horse rosters. Cloud9, they could come out and they could come out swinging and get top 4 very, very easily if they're all playing really well. The Zero Tenacity, they could. And then obviously Complexity could break out. You never know, right? It's kind of home turf for them. They've been there, that kind of thing. Maybe that brings their confidence. And I don't know. I haven't paid too much attention to their scrim results, but from what I understand, it's pretty meh. Like they're not dominating. They're not
like horrible, but it's meh. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So those are kind of, again, some really big hot takes. I'm not going to tell Mailman that I put him in the top 8 because I don't want to add any extra pressure to him. It's just kind of my HCS hot take, obviously. But going back to go ahead,
It's
Folk.
the hottest take in the world.
He has to get first.
It's pretty
I've
hot.
heard hotter. I've heard hotter takes.
Yeah, that is true. There is definitely some hot takes out there. But as we've kind of talked about, it is the hottest take for sure. Right? We didn't really talk to like that Dark Inside roster. They're pretty. They could push through into pools again, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of teams in the open bracket that if everything is clicking and they catch one of the other teams on an off day, that they could elevate themselves into the champ bracket and get that top 8, right?
What was that other team that formed with Jazero and
That's Luminon Gaming.
Luminon Gaming. That is going to be a scary roster, right? So it's got it's Shazero. I can't remember who else now.
D-Diagram,
Diagram, Neuronical, and then it has
Envid, or I can't pronounce that.
Avenue is his former name.
Yeah, it's Avenue. That's another one of the triplets, right? So that's actually Diagram's brother. Right, so that's going to be a scary roster too, right? But we don't know what they look like. Haven't seen anything on them. Haven't done anything. It's going to be, they're just there, that kind of stuff. So, but we'll definitely see kind of how that goes. But obviously we kind of all mentioned about SSG. What do you think happens if SSG doesn't turn out like they want to? Do you think if they place top 3 or they get a split? Do you think if they do worse? Like, what are your guys' thoughts on SSG going into DreamHack?
My personal opinion, I don't know what the in-game comms are like because they don't share those in their scrims. At least Lucid doesn't. But I don't know. I feel like there might be like a butting of the heads. As far as like, I don't know if it's like necessarily that term or phrase I should use, but there's some type of philosophy that they have, like the way they play, where it's just not clicking. Like everybody's doing kind of their own thing from what I've seen in some of the scrims. Not all the time, obviously, because they're a really good team, but it's just not clicking as well as some of the others. But I really think if they focused around letting Eco be like just the guy that makes the shot calls like he was, previously,
Mm-hmm.
on the other rosters. I think that would honestly work better, and then just like kind of let everybody else just do their thing as they're listening to his comms. I think that would probably be the best option that they have at the end of the day. Because you got really great players on this team. It's just something, I don't know if there's too many comms where it's like trying to direct traffic that's like kind of splitting them up, but something's just not right.
I personally just feel like they're lacking like a dirty work player sort of thing. Like, like Optic has like Bound and Renegade just flying everywhere. FaZe has Trippy and Penguin that are always doing that sort of shit. Shopify, they got I guess it's been kind of Frosty just flying around, but it's like, I don't know.
Well, last shot,
like
right?
Everyone in last shot. Like at Space Station, they don't have that type of player that just is like
in your face.
I don't know, just in your face, shoving a freaking bandit down your throat type of player, and I don't know. I think it's hurting them. It doesn't. They don't have enough pressure taken off for their superstars to be superstars.
Yeah, we're gonna say.
I think I kind of fully agree with the fact that they have three IGLs on their team, so I feel like everyone has a different way of how they want to play calls, and it's just that's where a clashing's happening.
Too many
Obviously,
chiefs,
with
not enough
Congress.
horses.
Yeah. So I think that's a big part. I think in our last podcast about them, I said the same thing. It's just they have 3 IGLs,
Yeah.
2 from former 2 different squads coming in. So like, and then a lot of players like you have Snakebite, who's like a team cap, OBJ supportive player who can pop off, Stellar who pops off, Eco who's calm and collected that can make the difference if possible, and then you have Lucid who's just a general playmaker, and they're all used to making the calls.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing that they're running into, right? I think Lucid needs to really look back and just be like, okay, no, I'm literally just going to play the Slayer role, and I'm going to step into that role that they need, that Bound and Legend filled on that SSG roster last year, and just fly, make the plays, but
I think it should be Stellar and Lucid.
yeah, Stellar does do that a little bit. He's kind of the one there. Lucid just has such a passive play style. And I just don't think he has the team around him to make him great, right? Like Trippy was his duo for a reason, and Trippy was the in-your-face, this kind of stuff. Get the info so Lucy could make some sort of godlike play, right? Yeah. That being said, if SSG does figure their stuff out and they do start to click, it's going to be a dangerous squad.
Yeah, it will be. I just don't know what they got to do. I know I was just pulling up some of their scrim results. Like about 9 days ago, they had one with Shopify where they only won a game off of Shopify. Shopify had taken 15, and I think they did the other night. It was like something like 15-3 maps or something. So that's the one team. Is like you want to measure it up against them. They were the first seed, but obviously they're probably not anymore. But they've got to figure out a way. They can take down these other teams, right? These lower seeded teams, but it's just like they're neck and neck with FaZe, like 10-7 in some of their scrims, like was one of the recent ones. So I don't know. It's some type of pacing issue, in my opinion. They're not the timing on their teamwork isn't all there.
It's not
and
clicking.
I know Lucid's tried to play like a more aggressive role here recently, from what I've been reading on Reddit. I haven't got to catch every scrim, obviously it's kind of hard, but he could be that player that's in your face, and he's got the talent. I don't know if he's got the speed, because he's more of a kind of a like a wait and see what kind of happens player. He kind of waits for things to come to him versus unless it's an advantage he has, he'll push it. But I think he may have to. Stellar could be that player, but I think Lucid's going to have to step up on this one.
And the thing when I look at that squad, it's like I look at every seed lower than them, and I can't see any of those players helping them. It's like all the best players are on the 3 squads in front of them, which sucks.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it's like what can you even do? Like, you can't improve like grabbing anyone from below top 4.
I think if they were gonna make a switch, I don't know. Like I don't know how likely it is for them to make a switch after Dreamhack. I would say it's probably like a 70% chance, maybe, at the best.
I got a feeling they're gonna play their year out.
But
like,
yeah, I kind of have that feeling. But like, if you was gonna make a pick, like, or a switch, I think picking up maybe like Penguin or something, because he already know how to play with him.
Yeah. Like I said,
but I don't. But I don't think you're going to do that if they're getting top 3 all the time. I don't think you will. There is only one player in the entire league that would make a change by getting second or third all the time, and that's Formal. Right?
No doubt,
because last year the rest of his team was okay with getting seconds for the most part, right? They're like, they were close, we got second, we got paid, whatever, right? Formal just wants to win. They don't have, SSG does not have a player on their roster that just wants to win and will do whatever it takes to win, right? I just don't see it.
Sometimes winning a tournament can be a detriment, because I feel like, because you kind of get that satisfaction. You're like, I did it, now I can just like chill,
Right.
I don't know if that's how they think. Go ahead, my bad.
I could see a Lucid for Penguin trade. I could see it.
I was thinking about that. I was like, do you switch him out for Snakebite or Lucid? I feel like
reunite Lucid with Trippy, send Penguin back to SSG. Like, that could work.
That could work.
Yeah,
it could, but at the same time, Trippy and Penguin they were the 2 that got left out of that Optic trade, right? They were the ones. Lucid already found his new roster before they did, right? Uh, and basically, Formal said they're making a change. Formal's like, I'm staying on Optic. You guys are gone. Lucid found himself roster, and then that just left Penguin and Trippy, and they had to kind of pick up the pieces, right? From the offseason, from after Worlds, it was Penguin and Trippy who were like, okay, no, let's find some players for us to play with, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of just it. Like, I wonder if maybe you could even look a little bit deeper and like, do you trade out Snakebite for somebody like Boo Boo Doo Boo, right? Somebody who plays a little bit faster. I don't think so myself, but is there like one missing piece that you can maybe possibly find that plays a little bit different to fill that role that's missing, right? Sometimes it's not about the personal talent of the player. Like all four of those players are extremely talented. It's just something's not clicking, right? Something might have to change. So do you pick somebody up? Maybe Lethal comes back, right? Just somebody who's just Lethal's a dirty work player. Always has been, right?
Wild card APG.
Could be. Maybe.
Wild card APG.
100%, right? Like you just don't know. It's just one of those things. Or is there kind of somebody in the open bracket that that they really see? Like lots of people are talking about Avicii, right? On that envy on the can't remember what roster he's on. Complexity, right? People are talking about how great he is. Like even people in the open bracket who've played against him lots, right? It's like he is an up and comer. He's a young kid, that kind of stuff. Do they pick somebody up like that, right? Similar to the way they did with Legend, right? Where they're just like, come over, let's this. Legend was a great player for them and brought him over and he thrived over here, right? So there's lots of different kind of hot takes to say what they could do, but I do think that, yeah, they're going to play Dreamhack out. And if they place kind of top four, I think they're going to be okay with that, right? Yeah. They're hoping to get top three. If they get top three, they'll be like, okay, no, we're slowly moving, but they need to beat or have close matches against Shopify and Optic before they kind of make that change. If they get absolutely mollywopped by Optic and Rebelling at this event, I think they're going to look at their roster very, very seriously because they can kind of compete with the other ones, right?
I was just going to say, what a wild story it would be if SSG, like, for the next 3 events, including DreamHack, they lose, and then, like, for some reason, everything clicks at Worlds, and they just end up winning the whole thing. That would be insane, dude.
That would be insane.
Again,
I think a hot take would be like maybe some of the people that are on the sides right now, they don't have a team, is what they look to pick up. We don't. There's plenty of I said APG. There's another person I'm thinking, but they've been out for too long. I don't know if that'd be wise.
I don't think APG's
coming back
this year if he even got
no, APG's not coming back this year. But they could look at somebody too. Like you look at that roster that Luminon has, right? If that Luminon roster makes it into pools, right, with Diagram, Neuronical. Like Neuronical was a great player when he was on Complexity year one, right? So now that he's coming back, maybe that's a pick, like depending on how things go that way. But who knows, right? It's just one of those things that we're gonna have to wait and see.
I think the gap between them and Space Station is very large.
I agree.
Yes.
I totally agree with you 100%, Beast. But that's just it, right? Like, and that's why I mentioned like Boo Boo Doo Boo. Boo Boo Doo Boo's been on some of the top teams before, right? Like that C9 roster from last year.
He's won a Worlds.
They took SSG, almost eliminated them at top 6. Right? So it's just one of those things that kind of happens there. Now that we're kind of on the topic of talking about individual players and stuff, let's just quickly run through what's everybody's player that we should be watching for the weekend. Who's going to stand out? Who's going to step up? Who's going to be the one?
I got my money on Woodham. I just like the way he plays, man. The dude's POV is just like magic. Watching him, he's absolutely amazing. With his mechanics and his shots, just impeccable. But I think the way he plays, it really elevates Nemesis, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them play once again. To be honest, they're kind of the one team I've been excited to see once again. Just because, like dude, they came out on fire in Arlington, and that was a total surprise, I think, to a lot of people the way they played against Optic, especially. Unfortunately, they fell short to phase, but that's the one player I think some people should be watching for sure. What
I'm
about
kind
you?
of I'm kind of leaning towards big game Trip having a big weekend at Dreamhack. I think he's really going to show up and kind of have a standout performance.
Hmm.
Big fan of Trippy. I feel like he's really um I don't know who's making the play calls over there obviously, but I feel like he's kind of leading this phase roster. And there's a little bit of just to touch on quickly, still kind of up in the air about who's going to be coaching them. And I know Royal One made kind of a cryptic
Speaker.
tweet a couple tweets ago or a couple
Hmm.
weeks ago about him coming back. We haven't heard yet about who's going to be coaching Phase at DreamHack, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards Trippy being the player to watch this weekend. I think he's really going to have a standout performance for Phase.
That's a good one. I actually like that because he's definitely got something to prove, and hopefully he brings the hunger. I know he'll
Hmm.
bring the passion for sure.
110%. How about yourself, Ben?
I think it's not too different from C4. I definitely wooed them from Nemesis. I think I have more like teams themselves that I'm looking to see pop off than just individual players. But I think it's a cookie cutter answer for me. But Frosty, because Frosty's constantly been popping off, so let's see if he can do it again and again. Um, but I'm more looking to see how TSM does, just because it is an old roster from year one
Yeah.
that's back together.
Hmm.
Seeing how Manny performs with the OG squad versus the bounce around that he was having for a little bit there.
Yeah, for sure.
Quite the bounce around for sure.
He's flying on cloud nine. Like he brought them
Yeah.
way farther than they should have went. Like
100%. And I
Zapple
think
pick in place too, but
I
I
think
feel
that's the
like
whole
in
reason
that
why.
squad,
That's the whole reason why
Yeah.
that TSM wanted him back, right? They seem to pick up Manny whenever that the core three is not doing well and they need that little extra slaying power. Then they bring Manny back. Oh, it doesn't go well. Okay, let's find somebody else. Like Manny just
Yeah.
seems to be like the throwaway player. Like we'll find somebody else. Like,
Yeah,
oh, this
What if
didn't
they get
work.
how I
Frosty
feel
again after
too.
Right?
DreamHack? That's gonna be something.
I mean, anyone would drop Manny for last shot, which is like what
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
like it's not a stupid move. Like
there's
it
too
was
many
good,
players that
but
are like look for.
last shot found greener grass, and now
He's just got
they
a
need
lot
to
of
get him
damage.
back.
He's just got a great shot, good damage.
He
He's
got a great
very
shot.
aware. Yeah.
He said,
Yeah.
"Baby, come back,
I think
Manny, come back."
my player to watch, I'm gonna go with Lethal. I just think, he is one of the better players on one of the worst like lesser squads, and he's gonna find a way to will that team farther.
Oh yeah, he's always been kind of a pillar of the Halo community, Halo competitive scene, and I think he's gonna have a revitalized energy. I think now that he's on a main roster again, right? Yes, they're kind of in that top 6, 7, 8th range, but it's like a named org. It's not just kind of him with a pickup squad, right? So yeah, I think he's gonna come out swinging as well. But my actual player of the tournament is gonna be Lucid. I think Lucid has to come out and he has to do something great at DreamHack for that SSG roster, even have a chance. Um, he needs to get back to World Championship form. I don't think he's been there. I think he's kind of been a little bit checked, that kind of stuff, right? Like towards the end of last year, he had a whole bunch of stuff going on in his personal life, like buying a new house and like a whole bunch of things like that, right? Like I think he just needs to kind of get back to the basics and play like Lucid does, right? And do some crazy things, hit another crazy overkill. Like he needs to get some hype in his step at DreamHack, and that's going to be my player to watch.
Yeah,
I agree.
he's got a lot to not necessarily prove, but he's got a lot he can bring to the table.
Yeah.
If he can
Well,
just figure it out, you know.
the
He needs
thing is
that
too
weapon
with this
pool open.
SSG team, a lot of people have been doubting this SSG team. I mean,
Mhm.
we've been talking about it. It's been a big topic of discussion. So
Yeah.
yeah, I totally agree that he's definitely going to have a little bit more to play for this event.
100%. He's got to ignore the noise, right? Or use it as fuel, right? He's like, no, you know what? I'm going to shut you guys up.
It's funny, it's because like the first like month or two is like everybody was talking about how they should drop Eco because he's always dropping a point 0.8 KD, but now the discussion is like whether they should just drop Lucid, and I thought that was interesting because I know like I said earlier, I don't think Eco's going anywhere personally. He was on that squad
No,
before. Him and Stellar are a great duo, but he should be the one calling the shots in my opinion. I think it would go a lot better if Lucid just stopped trying to be a leader and instead try to focus on what needs to be done. And that the only way to do that is listen to somebody like Eco, who is really just a great IGL. He's a great brain, you know.
just
Um,
calm.
yeah, I just think Lucid's been so used to doing that role that it's kind of ingrained. He's obviously a natural leader, you can tell. But I think sometimes natural leaders can do a lot of good if they just step back for just a moment and let somebody else that's pretty natural at it too, you know, and being eco. I think if they just do that, that might be their best course of action, in my opinion. But you know, then we got to look at Snakebite. I think Snakebite's been doing good. I think he's been doing pretty solid, but I think he's another player that people should look at and see if he can pop off. Because if Snakebite can, you know, do some like stellar level shit with his flow and get into the zone, man, oh, he's an animal. And if you can get all four of them on that same page, dude, that team could do a lot of good things, but something's got to click. And that's all I got to say about it. But we'll see. We'll see. Got a couple more days. What about 5 more days? Something like
Yeah.
that.
4 more days, 4 or 5 more days. Yeah. We're super excited for it, obviously. Um, Dreamhack is going to be a great time. I know you're going C4. Obviously, you're going too, Ben, aren't you?
Yep.
Ben will be there. Um, so we're gonna have lots of intel with how DreamHack is as just an event entirely, right? Like there's tons of other things going on there too. Like uh, they have COD is Call of Duty is gonna be there. CS is gonna be there. Counter Strike's gonna be there, and there's a whole event going on. It's kind of one of those events
Gaming
that
convention.
100% right, and it's unfortunate that I can't make it to there because I would have loved to go to DreamHack. It would have been just an absolute movie to be there, that kind of stuff. But we're looking forward to it. I believe we're also going to be watching live on Twitch on Friday through Watch the LVT stuff, that kind of thing, to have kind of a watch party, that kind of stuff, so that we can see how the Mythic Gaming boys do, and we'll see how that goes. But we're excited to have kind of a roster at an event for the first time ever, this DreamHack, and we're looking forward to seeing how they do. Other than that, any other closing thoughts about DreamHack or anything before we kind of move on, guys?
No, I don't have much. I just can't wait to be there and then check out some of the COD games. I'd like to see that live, and then maybe a little CS:GO, and then just looking forward to seeing the whole venue and what they got, man. That's basically my only
Yeah, I'm
thought.
excited for the whole venue because it's like I said, the the bulk of DreamHack outside of the three gaming events is literally just a game convention, content creators, just community events and everything all on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a fun time just to like when we're not worried about games, just kind of exploring, going on an adventure to say, and seeing how that's all. Because I mean, this is one of the bigger events in the U.S. altogether.
Yeah, 100%, right? And that would have been a nice thing too for like myself to be there too, just to network with other org owners, network with other people to get Mythic Gaming's name out there and that kind of stuff. But it's all going to land on C4, obviously, and that kind of thing. But it's going to be an excellent time. I'm excited to watch it. I'm probably going to end up watching most of COD, most of Halo, that kind of stuff, just to see how everybody does um, there. Other than that, anybody else have any closing thoughts? If not, we are running kind of a little bit longer than expected tonight because it's such a hot topic with predictions and everything.
Yeah, lots to
Um,
talk about tonight. I
my
don't
one.
have any closing thoughts that I've really got, other than we're obviously all really excited to watch the Mythic Gaming crew this weekend, and
Absolutely.
all definitely rooting for them, and really excited for C4 and Ben. to just get to go to another Halo event. It's always a lot of fun. So yeah,
Yeah.
excited all around.
I'll make sure I get you guys some goodies when we meet up this year. If everybody can meet at some point, But
Oh yeah.
I my only closing thoughts are just like make sure you come find me. I got some Toe Talk stickers. Gonna be giving some of these out. HCS Pro Talk. Go watch Pro Talk. They're live right now, I think still. And then just be lookout for Mythic Gaming in the open bracket. You'll see our jerseys. They're white and purple. And yeah, and then also just pay attention to our Twitter because we're going to be releasing a first time land vlog for a Dreamhack and showing off what the boys can do and how they did. So stay tuned for that.
Absolutely. Wanted to thank everybody for tuning in. If you've listened this far, make sure you hit that like button to let us know you're here. Comment down below who your hot take is to win this tournament. Hit the subscribe button, obviously, and cheer on the Mythic Gaming boys at Dreamhack. Everybody have themselves a wonderful day, evening, morning, whenever you're listening or watching this. We're out. Peace.
Peace.
Later.